Yeah, this film, man, is honestly a film, and I I feel like I say that a lot about movies this year. I've just been surprised by so much haters, but I expected absolutely nothing. And when I mean nothing from this film,
Same here.
not a thing. I saw the trailer. I'm like, okay, this the trailer itself looks. I'm like, okay, this makes me feel uneasy. But I'm like, okay, they're putting everything possibly that the best parts of the film in there. I'm like, I'm getting the vibe of these early 2000 cheesy, movies. I'm like, the concept feels the spectrum of those type of films. So I'm like, okay, this is what this is gonna be. And then, oddly enough, the whispers once again, the same thing with Barbarian, was saying how great Smile is. Like,
Mhm.
like stop it. I'm like, nah, this is where I draw the line. I'm like, impossible, impossible. They're like, no, this film right here is something special. Uh, if you think Pearl was good, if you think Barbarian was good, two films that we just recently talked about, Smile is where it's at. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, they were not lying. So tackle it. Let me know what you thought. Smile.
Man,
Mm.
listen. Again, piggybacking off of you, I didn't expect shit from this movie. Because when people, everybody who knows me or knows of me, whether you know me personally or on my channel, follow my channel, or a mutual on Twitter or any social media, everyone knows I'm a horror guy, right? And I love horror, and I'm able to identify, like, I like stuff that I can identify as being not the greatest movie. You know what I mean? Like, I like it because it's fun, not because it's a great movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are plenty of horror movies that are like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, hell, movies in the Halloween franchise that aren't, like, Halloween 5 is not that great of a movie at all, but I just like it for what it is. So I went into Smell thinking that, like you said, it felt like a 2000s cheesy movie. Like, it felt like one of those teen screen movies that are PG-13 for a bunch of kids to go see, high schoolers to go see. In the likes of movies like The Bye-Bye Man, which is a movie I watched like a week ago just to get myself inclined to this kind of shit, because I was like, I know for a fact Smell is going to be like that. So
Right.
let me tune my brain into this, because I just saw two fantastic horror movies, Barbarian and Pearl. So I'm like, let me tone my expectations down, because I know for a fact this movie is not going to be on either one of those levels. Other movies that kind of are reminiscent that I thought this was going to be like the movie Unborn, movies like One Missed Call, movies like Darkness Falls. I assumed Smell was going to be on that tier. Smell actually has no business being this great. I haven't had a movie scare me like this since, I have to say, like Insidious or Paranormal Activity.
Yep.
Because, no, Hereditary, it disturbed me, but it didn't scare me. This shit here, man, like I got goosebumps because of fear for this movie. There are scenes in here that are literal nightmare-inducing imagery. And this is coming from a guy that watches horror all year. I don't get scared of horror movies. Rarely. I like horror because it's fun to watch and its creativity is dope. This hit a fear chord in me. Like, there are moments that I literally was like looking through the cracks of my fingers, dog, because of the fear that this movie just operated on. Like, and let me put it out there too. This movie, it doesn't do stuff that we've never seen before.
Yep.
But the one thing that it did that I've never seen before is fit so much into this type of movie. I don't know if that makes sense, but like this movie operates like one of those teen scream horror movies that's like, you know, structured with jump scares and all that type of shit, right?
Right.
It's structured the same. It's structured similar with a bunch of jump scares, but it also has that with layers of different things to peel back in commentary. And what separates itself is usually in movies like this, kind of they play themselves to like kind of a goofy ass, corny tone with like the characters, like, you know, it'd be like high school students who, you know, just corny as shit, drinking and what's up, bro? Like these kind of movies usually operate like this, but this shit right here takes itself 100% seriously.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost no levity in here to slow your heart rate down. And that shit is just nuts, man. And that's my overall thing before we get into it. This movie was fantastic. I've never in my life seen a horror movie stack 4 or 5 jump scares into one sequence. I've never seen a horror movie provide a jump scare or some type of fear-inducing anything every 10 to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't never seen that. Outside of like found footage movies, like Paranormal, they're made for jump scares, but I've never seen like a horror movie, like, you know, regularly shot, operate like this. And I'm floored. Been thinking about this movie since I seen it, and I saw it Thursday night. So I'm gonna pass it to you before I start just going off.
Yeah. So smile.
And the name is, so could you go off? And another thing I meant to say about this, the name of the movie is so unassuming of like what you're given. Like I feel like Smile, they picked this title to play us.
Yep.
Like I just had to say that. My bad.
No. Smile. I'll say this is easily, with all the heat that we got this year, easily, not even remotely close, the best and my favorite horror film of the year. I'll go as far as saying this is one of the scariest films I've seen in my life, period. Because a lot of films that scared me are films when I was a kid that, you know, being a kid a lot could scare you. But I watch, if I rewatch a lot of these films that scared me back in the day, it's not going to have the same effect. Yeah. I'm a grown ass man, bro. And this shit had me terrified. that speaks volumes in itself. I think I'm seasoned enough as far as watching movies, horror. I watch all, you know, I watch all different type of genres. You know, it's my thing to say that, you know, I don't necessarily have a favorite genre. I just watch all different genres. But, you know, horror, I pay close attention to, because to me, the horror genre is a special type of genre. I put it in the same field as a comedy, because their role, unlike other films, are to inflict, you know, emotion, to get raw emotions out of you. Comedy, they have to make you laugh, or it fails as far as a comedy. Horror, you need to be afraid, feel uneasy, tension, you know, turn on your fight or flight, you know, like they have particular things they have to do as far as horror to call it a good and successful horror film. I jumped twice in this watching this movie. Twice, like physically jumped out my seat watching this movie. I don't do that. I watch the worst of the worst horror films. A lot of this stuff is like, you know, you see it coming a mile away and stuff like this. This has jump scares in it that you do see coming, but it's executed so fucking well. God damn, like this film is because we're not getting full details, and it's just phenomenal. It's through and through a great horror film, and it succeeded in the #1 job of a horror film, getting you scared. And it lulls you in, like you said, with all these with the nice title. You see the trailer. Oh, it's an early 2000s film. Those are goofy, right? You don't expect much from those. Nah, not Smile. This shit right here. Whew. Listen, the most hardened gangsters, criminals you know will jump watching this film. That's all I gotta say. So, with that being said, let's get straight up in these details.
Spoiler alert.
Yes.
If you ain't seen this movie, get the hell out because we're getting it in.
Spoiler alert, because this is the movie out of all movies we're talking about today, I wanted to talk about the most because it's the freshest in my mind because
me
Pearl Barbarian was early September. I just saw it this past week. We both did. So yeah. The floors are yours. Let's get into the details. Let me know how you feeling. Let's talk about it.
Bro, I'm telling you, with this movie, I'm baffled. I am literally just extremely baffled.
Let me stop you. This man's name is the real RapNerd, but it's not really portraying what he's really about. This dude is a horror enthusiast. He knows horror in and out. Bring the best of the best, and he will slay it down as far as horror goes. He knows his genre like the back of the palm of his hand, man. And for a film to have him speechless, as you just saw a few seconds ago, puts that in perspective. Go on, the floor is yours.
So I appreciate that comment, and you see this poster back here. I'm a horror enthusiast. A shirt, Halloween, and that's why I've been telling people I'm a horror guy. I watch it all year round, and I do not get scared by like 98% of movies that I watch in horror. Like they might inflict like a little bit of like, oh shit, like oh, you know what I'm saying, or some imagery that's like, oh no, hell no, oh no, you know, more like that kind of stuff. Like oh, but this one legitimately had fear within me. Like no, like the third act, there's a scene.
God damn.
When the door tries to close and the hand goes like this and pushes that mug open, and who the lead thought she was seeing stepped out, and the motherfucker was 10 feet, and the hair was on her face, and she looked up like this. Literally, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I was literally like petrified. I was petrified of that scene. That is yo, you talking about you jumped twice. You cold-blooded. Cause I'm telling you, I was so thrown off by this movie that I jumped in immense amount of times.
No, I meant like physically, like jump out. Like there's a bunch of other times. Like I like oh like little things. I'm talking about arm off the arm bar. Like I'm like oh shit like that twice.
Oh yeah, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times I was just like shit, like when I get really really got by a jump scare, I'll be like oh, and I just be like oh I can't believe you got me.
That's how I felt. I felt the same way.
And I got so many times. And again, I'm saying this, and like I said, like I'm confused and just not confused, but I'm just shocked because the trailer, like we said, it sells itself as a goofy ass movie. Even the concept, like Smile, and even the scenes in the trailer feel nothing like they are in the movie. Perfect. And I'm just like confused at how they did that. Cause like for instance, the first scene when the lead is talking to this girl, this patient, in the trailer it just seems like, oh, this is goofy as hell. This is goofy shit. But in the movie, it ain't goofy.
Far from
it is. It's terrifying because she puts the knife in her and cuts all the way, and you see blood leaking as she's cutting, and then this score starts playing. That just turns it to a different. That scene was one that was like completely different. That I was just watching like this is extremely gruesome. The other scene when when she is walking, she sees the patient sitting there smiling.
Mhm.
In the trailer, it's like, "You're gonna die. You're gonna die." That shit looked goofy as hell in the trailer.
Mm.
It looked like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? But in the movie, it's handled way different.
Yep.
The scene when she's at the birthday party, oh my god.
That's the one right there, boy. Ooh.
When they show one of the girls sitting in the chair looking at her,
Mm.
and again, it looks goofy in the trailer.
Mm.
But in the movie, it ain't that.
Mm-mm.
Like, I'm trying to think of words here. Like, I've just never seen a setup in so much misdirection in a good way that I was literally in a theater not knowing what to expect. Like, the movie throws you for a loop with so many different types of scares and gives you so many scares. Like, when she goes home, it's nighttime, he's drinking a glass of wine, and the camera pans from right to left.
Mm.
Stops. You see the patient who killed herself sitting in the dark with the same smile.
Not even. I don't know if that happened to you, but the panning, it took some time for my eye to adjust because they I don't know if it's a color grading. They did it so well, but it only feels that her face is visible with a smile.
Yeah.
So you have to you're like, oh shit, are you seeing what you think you're seeing?
And that's the part about it, because the camera stops on it to let you sit there and look at the shit.
Yes.
And you're and again, the way they have it colored and the way they had the scene lit, you're just sitting there looking like, and then by the time it clicks for you, it cuts back to her.
Yep. And
the house alarm goes off. Jump scare number one, what scared Sheen into seeing the lady is his first scare. Not really a jump scare, but it's one scare that's already elevating your heart rate. Cuts to her, alarm cuts on, jump scare number two, where you're like, oh shit. Your heart is already there.
Mm.
She walks over, cuts this thing off. You think it's cool. Then the fucking phone rings. I was just like, chill out. Like, there were so many moments that they kept stacking scares and scares and scares that I literally was like, yo, they gotta chill, dog. They gotta chill.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is too much right now. Like, you need to, and for me to say that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass it back to you because I'm just everywhere with this movie. It's just like,
no, man. Yeah, I definitely agree. And the director, man, he didn't really do anything new. Like the jump scares, some of them you could see coming, but it's just how it was executed. Like he'll put you in this false sense of, okay, you already saw the jump scare, so you're not expecting another one on top of it. Like right after, boom, catch you right there. The concept in itself of smiling, of seeing somebody committing to, oh wait, this is YouTube because I think you can get dinged for that, but causing themselves harm in front of you while having a smile on their face. Like a smile, you see that's supposed to, put everything at ease. It means everything's good. You're not supposed to think the evil, like there's something wrong with this person. Like you're seeing them commit these horrific crimes upon themselves that any human being, they're screaming in terror, and no, they're just cool, calm, and collected, smiling their face while chopping their heads off, setting themselves on fire. I'm like, dog, this right here is insane. The right from the jump, the beginning of this film lets you know what time it was. I loved how the atmosphere of this film, it was extremely well paced. It wasn't trying to rush to get to the jump scares. It took its time, and with that patient. I love the duality between the patient and the doctor. You know, because she doesn't believe anything she says. Obviously, any normal human being, you're hearing what she's saying. You're like, okay, she's having a psychotic break.
Yeah.
That's plausible. That's plausible. But how this character, this actress played that role, how she'd go from terrified to anger because you're not believing me, and then from sheer terror because she sees the thing in the room, which is scary in itself because she could
Right.
see it, but you being in the same room with her can't see it. So
And
you're
then the
like,
crazy part about that scene is when you think about the ending of it, that same thing happened to her.
mm-hmm.
Like
that's,
when she was.
that's what I'm saying. The duality of it, like her, like, and I love the like. There's no way out of this. There's no happy endings. Like once this happens to you, you have two options, and none of them ends well for you. And I love how they really stuck to their guns, the director himself, because I like Pearl. Well, actually, Pearl's strongest part was the ending. But let me say other movies I saw that have this year. They had amazing first and second acts, but they fumble a bit as far as the third act go. Nope, I loved, but the weakest act was the third act because it arised a lot of questions for me. I'm like, is this plausible? Barbarian, the third act, I was like, you know, Black Phone, the third act, you know, so on and so on. Even Bodies. Um, that third act is polarizing once you find out what really happened. So for here, I'm like, okay, we have all these examples of not really nailing the landing.
Mhm.
This one, it fakes you out into that. You're like, oh damn, so this is how they're gonna end. You had these great two acts and this is how you decide to end it. I'm like, this is cheap. I'm like, this is exactly what I thought it was. And then you you get completely played, and then the real true terrifying bone bone chilling terrifying ending happens.
Mm.
This protagonist, this character that you're following throughout the film, that you feel sorry for her because no one in her immediate family is believing her, therapists don't believe her, so you're seeing everything from her perspective. You know what's going on, you feel terrible for this character and you want her to win, but at the end of the day, this is not a fairy tale is what the director is saying. You're not, there's no happy ending, and yeah, she got it in the worst ways, man.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
boy, this film is phenomenal, man. Taking a concept that's so simplistic, that's not really supposed to be this heavy, but pile on top all these other, like they're saying it's usually the people. Like, let's take Robin Williams into account here. It's usually the people that's always making you laugh, a smile on their face, is the ones that are usually hurt the deepest. And I feel like, yeah, this is the type of message as a whole that this film was telling you, because damn, to go out smiling in the worst way possible, sheesh.
And that's the thing that you said about this film. Like, we talking about all the scary aspects, but there's still a lot of message to be received from the film.
The mother.
And that's what makes me love this movie even more, is because it's more than just all of the jump scares and the atmosphere. It's a message here. Like, you just said it's a therapist who needs help. And it begs the question, like, the therapists do so much time listening to other people's shit.
Yes.
Who's there to listen to them?
Yes.
And and even begged the question, like, when she did try and go see a therapist, she was self-diagnosing herself. And as a therapist, you're not supposed to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, her thinking that, her know-how of being a therapist plays in her corner. Her therapist is like, no, you can't do that. Like, I can't prescribe you medicine because you think that's what you need. It's not how this works. It asks that question, and it also is I feel like one of the connections in what is it? Commentary is making his own trauma. How the idea of what is it? Genetic trauma that you can pass down to others. Your sensitivity to trauma, and I just love how they use that. Like, even when for the birthday party, she tried to go back to her sister's house, and she's like, you traumatize them forever. And it's like, so now it's that trauma right there is getting
Not
passed down to
just
him.
that though, because after saying that, she goes in the car, and there is a jump scare that it's actually in the trailer, which I would have hoped they didn't put that one in there. After she talked to the sister and all that, they part ways. It doesn't end well. You see her go back in the car, and then the sister follows, comes out. She comes back out, and she's walking. Us, we know, but I feel like anybody that didn't see the trailer, you legit believe that's the sister because they just had an argument. She's like, all right, maybe I don't want my sister to drive, feeling that I hate her. Or this is the third. So I'm like, excellent. And then you see it walk up, and it does this weird. I've never seen a scare like this in my life. I'm like, holy shit! Like twist, contorted, like swapping back and forth, smiling, and you see her freaking out in the car. But there's no, I don't think there's sound, right? You just see her banging her head, punching, getting mad, and then you see the camera's panning back out.
The sun's looking.
Yes, I'm like, that's.
I was just gonna say that too. I was gonna say that too. Like, it's layers of trauma that now you didn't get your son, and it's one of the reasons why I want a sequel, because it's kind of like now her sister has to live with that. Like the last time you spoke to your sister was on bad terms, and she killed herself.
The husband as well, though.
Yeah, the last time y'all spoke to your wife and sister was on bad terms, and then she just killed herself. You know what I mean? It's just like there's so much room for a sequel. I swear to God, I hope we get this because
I agree 1,000%.
Like we have to. The way it ended too, we gotta get a sequel, dog. Like, but not to cut y'all. I just I know you was going. But,
yeah, and no, it was actually you going. I cut you off, but I was a sequel, and I'm typically one that's not for sequels. I feel like once you execute something so well, like you perfected something, there's really nowhere to go then down because you're setting yourself up for failure. But I think how they set this film up, there is so much story to tell. Like the film is very ambiguous in itself. Like it doesn't tell you too much. Like, you don't understand why this is happening in the first place. You don't understand what the entity is itself. The ending itself travels on to somebody else as well. Like what you're talking about, the grief of the husband, of the sister, like damn. And also not just that, her reputation is tarnished. Nobody but the cop will believe her. So from everybody else's standpoint, she just had a psychotic break and offed herself. Like, everybody saw like it was getting worse and worse and worse. And that's why that scene in the birthday party was so excellent. From everybody's standpoint, you watching that unfold, she's batshit crazy. Without a doubt, she's batshit crazy. This film is so deep, and like I can't get over how a concept this simplistic has so much layers to it. Like I understand the similarities in It Follows. I'm hearing people call it this film a cheap imitation of It Follows. This but
fuck out of here for anybody who said that.
Yes,
I just watched It Follows a week ago, and this shit ain't nothing. Like I'm not gonna get pissed because I really hate that movie fans do this type of shit, man. Like, because they see one commonality, they automatically be like, oh, this is just like, it's trying to, like, bro. Mad movies is common, fam.
Like cinema's how old? Like, you're gonna see similarities. And also, it's called, like, if I see something that's dope and that shit inspires me, all right, this is a jumping pad. I'm like, I'm gonna see this. I'm gonna do my own take in it, and I feel like It Follows is a great movie. Definitely a great movie. Phenomenal movie. As far as the horror spectrum goes, I don't think it gets the flowers it deserves.
It does.
Yeah, phenomenal. But these are two polar opposites. It Follows does not go as deep as this one. I was
gonna say that. No.
Yeah, and to be honest, It Follows kind of takes the easy route as far as the ending goes. This one commits fully, 100%.
Yeah.
Like it's gruesome. It makes you feel uneasy. It terrifies you. It follows a wonderful concept, a unique concept. It's edgy. It's cool. But this one has a message, and it's
on top of that,
loud and clear.
And then the tone is just different because I feel like it follows with it revolving around like young like kids pretty much. I think there's a certain level, there's a certain kiddie innocence about It Follows that Smile does not have, because
grown ass people.
Smile has no innocence, no kid nature, no sense of levity, no happy-go-lucky anything about the movie. Like, so like they're polar opposites, man. Like I get tired of seeing that comparison.
Yeah, and I know you said this is the scariest film for you since Insidious and Paranormal, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Paranormal fucked me up. God damn. Whew. Sheesh. That first one is, people don't give the Paranormal franchise enough credit because they had a lot of bullshit sequels. But that first one, Lord Almighty. I'm gonna watch that soon. I'm gonna man up.
You alone on that one. You ain't doing that.
Watch that soon. But this is honestly the scariest film to me since I seen Hereditary. And Hereditary is not. It's scary-ish.
Yeah, it is.
And what I mean about that, like Hereditary is more on the uneasy, creepy aspect. Like watching Hereditary made me feel extremely uneasy. Some of the events that unfolded there. God, this is the film that made me feel even more uneasy, to the point, maybe because I didn't watch Hereditary in the theaters. I was late on that train. I saw it at home, but I knew this was an effective movie. First of all, I saw it in a completely packed theater, a little movie like this called Smile. But not just that, the audience reaction. I haven't seen a reaction like this since I'm watching an MCU film. Like you see the crowd go wild. Here, the jump scares were effective because half the audience is screaming, jumping. I had people back right next to me. It was like a whole line of us, including us, all jumped at the exact same time. So it's not like choreographed. It's not like, oh, we saw one person react. Like, nah, everything was effective. The audience itself, and it had this nice hint of humor, perfectly placed hint of humor that was not overbearing. Man, this movie is just, man.
I'm telling you. As a director myself, upcoming writer and director, man, this movie right here, like I was just floored by what they were able to accomplish.
That's how you do it.
I'm saying like pulling so many different things into a movie. Like, in any other movie, all these jump scares would be pretty cheap.
Yes.
But it's just the construction of the movie as a whole, and the fact that there's a message here and the many layers it's giving. It's not cheap at all. Like this movie has a lot to say.
I'm like so dumbfounded, bro. I didn't expect this. I
didn't either. I really didn't. Like this gives me a lot, and it gives me way more than I asked for. Like I just wanted it to be decent. That's all I wanted. I just wanted it to be a decent movie. That's it.
Like I feel like I've been chasing this, like how people say once you get your first of anything, your first high, you're jonesing for, for that feeling again. Like as a kid or being young, like watching The Ring, Grudge, like getting that pit in your stomach, that fright, that fear, being an adult, I don't get that nowadays. Like films don't really scare me like that. It made me feel uneasy. So actually searching for that for all these years and honestly coming to the conclusion, I didn't think it was a possibility at this point. I'm like, all right, I watched enough of these films to whatever. I was to the point that I was getting ready to watch The Exorcist to see if I could get it back. But this film, man, it did that. That's what I'm saying,
bro.
It did that.
Like I said, it's been years. Like I said, Hereditary was the most scary-ish movie, but it didn't. It didn't hit me like this. Like I said, them days of watching because the Grudge, nigga,
boy,
terrified me. Like the ending, but that scene in the Grudge when it's the third act when the body bag drops onto the stairs.
Stop it.
and then you see that hand just,
Ooh.
and you see her crawl out that mug, and
I need to watch. I think I need to watch the Asian version, the original joint. I need to watch that. I heard that's like 20 times more scary than this joint. But yeah, man, Smile is accomplishment as far as the horror community goes. It's phenomenal. And to think that this film was going straight to streaming, thank God for
that would have been a travesty.
Yes. They already did that with Prey earlier, and by the sounds of it, they're doing that with Hellraiser because supposedly that movie was pretty good. But man, I'm glad this one hit the big screen and I got to experience it how I experienced it, man. Because these films are very rare. You don't see them as that often. But yeah, Smile Man, fantastic film.
One thing I do like about Smile too is the way the scares operate. Like sometimes they'll set you up for a jump scare, but the jump scare doesn't happen. It'll just cut to the next scene. Like the scene when she gets in the bed and she hears like her boyfriend calling her. She's like, Rose. And then the camera pans down and you see her laying on the bed and you see a figure back there, in the shadows. And you think for sure that figure is going to make its way over. And then it just cuts to the next day.
It started making a way and it's just...
and then it cuts right to the next day, and you're just like,
damn.
You're just like, holy
that
shit.
That scene in itself is terrifying because, like, it's how.
Oh, be quiet. Shut up. I don't even want. Right.
Execution here is spectacular.
Can you imagine being in your bedroom?
Nope, I cannot. I'm selling the house. It's a wrap. It's over.
And you hear your wife's voice.
Nah.
And you like, huh? And then you look over and she laying down.
That kind of reminds me of, what was that movie from David Steinberg? Lights Out.
Lights Out.
In the bed when he thinks I think it's his wife or something, but she's out running, but it was another. Whew.
Oh my God, you made me do my smile. There's so many scenes that's like that. Like when she sits down with her therapist.
And that scene.
And the phone ringing, she's like, are you gonna answer that? Picks the phone up. Hey, I was trying to contact you for another session, but I can't. I was just like,
no, but that in itself, the fact the entity is there and it tells her, are you gonna answer it? Because it wants you to know. That's, oh my God, I'm getting chilled. But the scene that really, really, really got me is you're hearing the alarm go off and all that.
So this is your scary. This is the scariest scene right here. I'm gonna ask that too. Which scare got you the most?
The scariest scene? Nah, that's not my scariest. The scariest when she's playing back the recording.
Oh,
that's it's the setup on that scene and how I believe that's a continuous scene too, because something else happened earlier. Like it just. That scene just spans out for like 3 minutes, and then that was just a conclusion to it. I'm drawing a blank what actually happened. I think the beginning of the scene is when the phone call happened, and then it just prescribed for like 3 minutes, and then that scene when she's playing back the recording she had with the patient that the thing happened to, and then she thinks she hears something, which she does, so she just keeps playing that to that part over and over and over so she could hear it clearly, and then she's playing it over again, and then one time she goes to that part, it's gone. You're like, and she's going closer. I'm like, oh shit, what's about to happen? And boom, out of nowhere, I'm like, oh yeah, they trying to give a brother a heart attack.
I almost front flipped out of my seat when that happened, yo.
Boy,
like,
what was your scene?
The one that got me the most. That was one of them, but I don't know if that was the biggest one or the one with this when her mom grew to like 10 feet. I don't know why, but that shit scared the daylights out of me. Like, I think it was the way it's set up because she having a conversation with her mom and she says all that crazy stuff. And
Oh boy.
and then the fact that she does what the audience was gonna do, like she like says nope, and she backs up and closes the door. I'm thinking the door is just gonna close and it stops.
Mhm.
And then again, like the hand comes across, and I'm just like, oh shit, here we go. I'm like, here we go. But I didn't expect that to happen. Like I was expecting like her to be the same size. So for the door to open and she crawls out and she's 10 feet, like it almost reminded me of that scene when It Follows when that tall dude walked in.
Exactly what I was thinking. Exactly.
And so for her to just crawl through and just step up, and she just keeps going up and up and up, and then they actually show her the face, man. It's the face of the thing that's just like, because the face is so scary because it actually looks like a real person, but just fucked up. Like,
but the thing is, though, you're asking yourself, is that really a person, or is that the last victim or something?
That's what I'm saying, and I'm just sitting there looking like that scene literally made me droop down in my seat. Like, I was just like,
crazy. And what I also love about the scene when the alarm goes off, it's that whole setup. She grabs a knife, runs to the front. She thinks it's the front door, but sees the front door is locked. So it's like whatever. And she goes back to the living room. She sees the sliding door cracked open. So and then she gets a phone call from the alarm service, talking about, "Are you okay? Such and such. Are you alone? This and the third." And she goes, "Yeah, I'm alone, but such and such." And then the scene is just so menacing. "Are you sure you're alone?" And how the voice inflection changes. But what about behind you? I was like, oh hell no. It was
oh man.
Yeah, but that's pretty much that's Smile for you, man. God damn. God, what a movie. What a fucking movie.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.